Hello students, welcome to the first online tutorial for the academic session 2021 and 22. So today we will begin with lesson number 2, computer language. And in this chapter we will learn the different types of computer languages. Suppose say the machine language or the first generation language, assembly language, that is second generation language, high level language and fourth generation language. So first question is, what is a language? Suppose say if we want to communicate with each other, with our friends, with our relatives, if we want to share our views, our ideas, we need a language to communicate. The language can be anything. It may be the English. You may communicate in English, Nepali, Hindi, Bengali or any other language, but we need a proper language to communicate with each other. So language is a medium to express our views and feeling. So if you want to communicate with the computer, we do need a language to communicate with the computer, and it has its own language and we call it as a computer language, means the language that computer can understand. So here are some of the examples of different languages that we can use to communicate with the computers, like C, C++, Java, Lisp, Python and many more. So program. What is a program? Now if you want to communicate with the computer, you need to give a proper instruction. So this set of instruction is known as a program. So program is a set of instruction that tells the computer what to do. And the process of writing this specific instruction in the computer is called programming, and these programmings are written by a computer programmer. So let us start with the machine language, or what we also call it as a first generation language. Now machine language is the only language that the computer understands, means computer does not understand anything other than its own language, and it is expressed in binary form, that is 0 and 1, where 0 means off state and 1 means on state. So the given chart on the screen is about the character sets of the alphabets and their binary code. Now you can see that the binary code written for all the given characters are only 0 and 1. It may be in different form, but you will not see any other digit other than 0 and 1. So we call it as a binary code. Now as I have already said that it only understands the language, that is the computer language. It is expressed in binary form, that is 0 and 1. And machine language has the advantage of very high speed, and it takes or uses a very low memory utilization. But understanding and learning the machine language is tough. It is very difficult to understand and learn the machine language because, as I have already said, that it uses only the binary code, that is 0 and 1, and it is time consuming. So it is also very difficult to write and run the programs that are written in machine language. So, and it is extremely machine dependent. So that is why machine language is also regarded as a low level language. Now the language that are written in a machine code may run in one computer and it may not run in another computer. So because of this, very few people opted for specialization in machine language, and slowly they began to shift it towards the assembly language. Now let us see what exactly the assembly language is. Unlike the machine language, assembly language use the mnemonic codes or a symbol in place of 0 and 1. So in place of 0 and 1, it uses the mnemonic codes, and it is easier to work with assembly language in comparisons with the machine language, because for example, if the operation code, suppose say if you want to add the two number, the binary code for the addition may be 0010, but it can be directly written as add in the assembly language. So if you go to the figure, you can see the assembly language at the one side and the machine code at the another side. So we can use some of the code, like if you want to move it, you can use MOV. If you want to add the number, we can use ADD. So these are some of the code, that is the mnemonic codes that can be understand and in comparisons with the machine code. And always remember that the assembly language is also machine dependent, means you need the assembler to convert the code that are written in assembly language into the machine language, because as I have already said that machine understands only its own language, that is 0 and 1. It does not understand anything other than 0 and 1. So even if you use the assembly language to write the program, it needs to be converted to the machine language, and to convert the assembly language into the machine language, we need a assembler. So translator's program known as assembler is used to convert assembly language into a machine language. Now you can see that the program written in assembly language is called the source program, and the program that is converted into the machine language is known as a object program. Now let us see what the high level language is. Now, as we all know that the restriction in the use of machine and the assembly language has prompted the people to develop a language with some of the features. Suppose say simple and user friendly, means the program that are written in the high languages are very simple and it is user friendly. You can run it in different platforms and everyone can understand it. And this language is machine independent. As the large number of people, they started writing computer program using this language, it is known as a high level language. So here is some of the example of the high level language, like say Python, Java, C++, C#. So we basically use all these languages, that is programming language, to write down the code for the applications or to develop the application. Now high level language is quite similar to English language, so that is why it is very easier. It is easier for the programmer to write the program in high level language. Now high level language program need to be translated into machine language using interpreter or compiler. So as I have already said that whatever the language you need or you use to write the program, all those programs need to be converted into the machine language so that the machine can understand. So if you want to convert a high level language or a high level language program into a machine language, then you need an interpreter or a compiler to convert it. And basic C, C++, Java, Python, C#. So these are some of the example of a very high level language. Now let us understand how interpreter and compiler work. So both of these are a translator that translate the high level language into machine code. Now let me give you one example. Suppose there are two persons, one who can understand only English and the another person who can understand only Hindi. So until and unless you don't have a translator, it becomes very difficult for both of them to communicate, because one does not understand English and another does not understand Hindi. So what happens here is we need a translator who can understand both the language, that is English as well as Hindi, so that if one talks in English, he can convert it back into the Hindi and explain to another person in this way, vice versa. So interpreter and the compiler works in the similar way, because as I have already said that the machine does not understand high level language that are written using English alphabets and mathematical symbols. So all this language need to be converted into binary code, that is 0 and 1. So this work is done by the interpreter and a compiler. Now once the machine understands actually what the program has been written, it will display the output. Now if the output get displayed again in the form of binary code, that is 0 and 1, we don't understand it. So what the interpreter and compiler will do, it will convert those machine codes again back to the high level language and show the output so that we can understand it. Now let us see what is the difference between interpreter and a compiler. Now interpreter, as I have already said, it translates the program that is used to convert high-level language into the machine code. Now, it will convert only one line of a program at a time and executes the instruction if there is no error. And if there is an error, you need to rectify the error, you need to correct it. Only after that, it will go to the next line and it will check the next code. So if the errors are found, they are to be immediately removed. So interpreter programs are preferred for the beginners, means those who are in the early stage of learning the programming, because it is very slow in execution speed. Now let us see what is compiler. Just like the interpreter, it is also a translator program used to convert high-level language program into a machine code. Now, unlike interpreter, where it will check one line at a time, what the compiler do is compiler will translate all the programs that are written into the high level into machine code. So after converting all the codes, then it will generate the list of error if there is any. So you need to rectify, you need to correct all the list of errors. After that, it will show the output. So after generation of code, errors are rectified. The executions is very, very fast in compiler as compared to the interpreter. Now fourth generation language. Fourth generation language are closer to human language than any other language. These are highly user friendly. It's very easy to understand. It is portable and it is independent of operating system, means it can run in different platforms. It has very high speed of executions, and this fourth generation language are basically used or designed to reduce the level of programming so that you may not lose the time and the minimum efforts for the users to obtain any information. So, and it is designed to reduce the overall time it takes to develop software and the cost of software development. And it is still in development but released only for testings and evaluation purposes. So here is the list, a small summary about the type of computer languages, that is about the machine code, assembly language, high level language and fourth generation language. So this is all in today's video, and in this tutorial you have learned about the type of languages, their advantages, their disadvantages, and the difference between the compiler and interpreter. So this is all in today's video. Thank you, children.